Happy Independence Day, and bam. Now, I want to send a special shout out to Chris Rock because he had a show called Everyone Hates Chris, and he was talking about his life growing up and his family, and people in his family didn't understand Chris because of what he was diagnosed with. Yep, he had internal rejection in the African American community. Me, it wasn't all about the rejection of the family. I got the societal rejection, not approved, because, like I said, in magical moments in the mirror, there was not that many African Americans out where I lived at, Johnson County, Kansas. Yeah, you could say it was a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air story, but it was more of a nightmare Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with Freddy Krueger instead of Will Smith. Now, where I'm going with the story, I went to a party with Wesley. It was a birthday party. I can't remember who was it. Was it Sherry Dennison's birthday or Wesley Bates' birthday? But the point of the matter is, I had a crush on Sherry Dennison, and I finally got the balls, or kahunas, to ask her out. That was an epic fail. It was bad. Everyone was crying at that party except for Wesley. Well, what happened was, Sherry had a crush on my best friend Wesley. I had a crush on Sherry. Sherry got turned down by my best friend because he didn't have an interest on her because he knew I liked her. I got turned down because I was not her type. So there's a song called I Wish I Was a Little Bit Taller, or I Wish, by Skilo. Google Skilo and listen to the song. And that's how I felt when I was growing up. Now, you're probably wondering, KG, where are you going with this? Where I'm going with this is how to handle rejection and how to overcome that hump of being rejected and moving forward. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Did I handle that rejection well? Oh, hell no, I didn't handle that rejection well. And I'll tell you why I didn't handle that rejection well. Because in that phase of my life, I was a little boy who had insecurities. Yeah, remember the story of the Afro? Yeah, the Jackson 5? Yeah, it was traumatic. That's why I shaved my head. But the point of the matter is, rejection it's hard for people to accept rejection because in the human programming, we have to be loved, we have to be accepted, we have to have approval, we have to have that sense of belonging in a community. Now, when you don't have none of this, you're known as the lone wolf, outcast, maybe the Uncle Fester. But here's the thing, though, or the Jeepers Creepers. But here's the thing about rejection. If anyone say, rejection don't bother me, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I would say this: they're a DAMN lie, in all caps, hashtag, because rejection bothered me. Come on now, if it got to me, I could tell you Wesley got rejected. He ain't gonna admit it, but he got rejected and it bothered him because we're all humans. We all want to be accepted. We all want to be loved. Now, here's the thing about what rejection could do to a person, and it could depending on the person and how they reject it, it could go in many scenarios. One case of rejection, in my case of rejection, I cried. I didn't want to be around people for a few days. I just want to isolate myself. And sometimes when you get in that mode of rejection and just isolate yourself from people, okay, truthfully, that is a kiss of death. You don't want to do that. So what you do and you get in that mode, find a hobby. Like get a journal. If you don't want to talk to anybody, just journal stuff. Today, such and such a day, this person reject me, feeling like you know what, and just write down your feelings. Because once you write down your feelings, or be an artist, draw it out. Once you find a way to express how you feel about the rejection, you could that's the process of healing and moving forward. Now, here's the thing about rejection. some people think, oh, I got this. No, sometimes rejection. Another scenario about rejection is this. Now, if you keep getting rejected and you hold it in, don't talk about it, then you're going to have what they call societal regret, or you don't want you're just mad at society and you want to teach them a lesson because you got hurt. You want to make society pay. Now, in a couple instances in that scenario, I think about a couple years ago, there was an active shooter incident in St. Louis. And part of the reason that happened, the guy, he got turned down by the girl. Yeah, because he got rejected. And that's crazy because you kind of think, how could rejection make a person go totally crazy to that point of hurting themselves and other people? Simple. Because rejection, like I said before, it depends on the individual and how many times that got rejection. I forgot to mention how many times the rejection occurs. Because if rejections are reoccurring thing in society, yeah, that person would get to that point of being that active shooter because he's mad at the world. Now, another thing, let's look back at Columbine 1999 with those two kids wearing trench coats. Now, the reason why Columbine happened, because they were made fun of, they were the outcasts, they got picked on and bullied. Yes, I said it correctly, picked on and bullied. So they got this thing like, oh, I'm gonna make them pay. Well, I'm gonna make them suffer like I suffered. So what they went out and did, they both went back home. Next day, it was a shooting gallery. One girl who lived through the ordeal, she was blessed. But a lot of people, they're not with us today. Because why? Rejection, bullying, ostracizing is a kiss of, and isolation is a kiss of death. So, how can we overcome all the things I said in this video and move forward to prevent a next Columbine or a next incident in St. Louis? Or we had a similar incident in a Walmart in Virginia on Thanksgiving Day. They had a meeting. It was the lead, and he said this: "Tonight's gonna be a light night." And people were looking around saying, "What do you mean by a light night?" And the next thing you know, a shooting gallery there. Same thing with Columbine. One girl did survive. And the reason why she survived, because she was nice to him. See what happens. The rest that were riddled up with holes, and then he canceled himself because they made fun of him. So he did make them pay and suffer. But the question I'm going to present to you is revenge. What does that get you? All those people that lost their lives because rejection, getting bullied, made fun of, what did that solve? Absolutely nothing. It's just a whole bunch of hurt families, trauma, and it's mental illness. Now, with the rejection, I'm going to tell you how you move forward. Like I said earlier, talk about it. Have a support system. I'm going to give you an example of this. Back to magical moments in the mirror. I gave a story about my friend Chris, and how I got turned down. When I was about my freshman and sophomore year in Park Hill High School, there was a girl by the name of Jessica Weeks. I had a crush on her. Yeah. Another everyone hates KG moment. I got turned down. So Chris found out about it. I did not want to be bothered. I want to be left alone. It was kind of like a Tupac moment, having like an FU moment, but it was a nicer FU moment. So when I got off the bus, getting ready to head to my house, Chris put his hands on my shoulder. Next thing you know, I went back to his house again. He got out his guitar and he started playing. It was Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze. It was one of my favorite songs on the acoustic he played. And what I'm going with this is, music does help soothe the feeling of rejection, or the savage beast of rejection. And he talked to me about it, and he said, Kenny, it's okay to be rejected. There's nothing wrong with you. It's good that someone tell you there's nothing wrong with you, but you in life, you have to come in that magical moment in the mirror and say, I'm okay, there's nothing wrong with me. I get it, I will accept myself, and I will work on myself to be the better person, to take my step to finding that perfect peace to the next level. And Chris, he was calm about it. He would say, me and Jessica, when I went out with Jessica, and this one they broke up for I think the second time, he said, you know how many times it took for me to get with Jessica? And Jessica was a cheerleader. Now, okay, this is where I messed up at. Sometimes we put our expectations too high and not realistic, and we set ourselves up for failure. That could lead to rejection, and that could be problematic. If you keep doing that in life, keep setting your goals way too high and not realistic, you disappoint yourself, and you don't feel like you have a purpose of living anymore. And I was trying to figure out what Chris meant by that, and then I got what he said. Kenny, cheerleaders have a different expectation of who they want to date in high school. Okay, so like I said, when it came to that aspect, Chris laid it out. I said, okay. Even though I was well known, I wasn't that Excalibur or that criteria for Jessica. So it took me a while to figure that out, but at the age of 45, I get it. Now, speaking of relationships, now people over the years, and there's a misconception to this, if they put you, man or woman, doesn't matter who it is, if you got put in the friend zone, your game is over, done, cooked, no more. Put a fork in it and it's done. Not the case. What I learned, it wasn't the friendship zone that kind of put the nail in the coffin that you're not gonna have a chance, because eventually you can go that challenge of the friend zone and be accepted by that person. But here's where, yet again, everyone hates KG. You're like a big brother to me. We come to you because you're like family. Now, when you get to that stage, you better kiss your game goodbye, because when females or males put you in that category, you're like a sister to me or you're like a brother to me, that's kind of like incest. You don't want to do that. That just kill it right there. But that's a nicer way of rejection, getting put down. I mean, it hurts, but it's not as the other type of rejection. Oh, hell no, you're ugly. Ooh, who want to date you? Now, that rejection does leave a complex, makes a person angry, agitated, and it could lead to a whole bunch of fuckery down the road. So, like I said before, I encourage you, go back and watch Magical Moments in the Mirror to get you up to speed to this video, so that way you don't feel lost. Now back to the programming. Now, rejection, I mean, it can, I don't care who you are. You could be a Bill Gates, you could be Mark Zuckerberg. At some point in everybody's life, we all face rejection. Should you be ashamed that you got rejected? That's another problem. Like depression, we have a tendency to shame rejection. Don't shame rejection. It happens to everybody. But we need to sit down and have a conversation of how to handle rejection, how to cope with rejection, and how to move forward and find strategies to move forward from rejection. There's different types of rejection. I mean, there's social media rejection. You get kicked out of the thread. Yeah, that's okay. Start a thread of your own. A good example of this one. There's a movie called Night at the Roxbury. So these two guys got rejected for trying to get in this club, and what they did was they made a club called the Outside In Club, where the club was actually outside. So they took their experience of rejection and turned it into something positive and made money off of it by having a club that's outside instead of club inside being outside in. And same with social media. If you're gonna get put out, yeah, it's all good. Just start a blog, start a group of your own, and that's how you handle that. Another type of rejection, and it's kind of hard to go with this type of rejection, is interpersonal rejection, meaning interaction with other people. And the reason why this one's a little tricky, because like I said, rejection could be in all shapes, forms, and different levels of fuckery. So how you handle this rejection? Like I said, start a group of your own, a support group, have a hobby, do something that makes you feel good. And back to what Sean Cannell said of Think Big Media and Lewis Howes, that there are things we could do to make ourselves better. Create. When you create, there's positive energy going to that creation, because you're not focusing on the rejection, you're focusing on the target, the mission of creating something beautiful, something that makes you happy. And what I learned too about rejection, at the end of the day, we're all human. It can happen to anybody. Like I always ask my Mom, are you happy? And she always answered, KG, yes, I am happy. So the question that I'm going to propose to you before I end this video, at the end of the day, sometimes rejection may not be bad, because it can save you from a heartache or disaster down the road. The question I'm going to ask you today, even though you got rejected, okay, I lied. There's two questions. Question number one, okay, you got rejected. So how you going to handle it, and how are you going to move forward? That's question number one. Question number two, are you happy with yourself? With that being said, have a safe, blissful 4th of July. And remember, it's okay to be rejected, because at the end of the day, it's not always us. Sometimes the person who rejected you has stuff dealing with them. If you like the video, hit like and subscribe. Happy 4th of July.